Hey guys, this is James.
And this is Denny from TeaDB, bringing you us episode 262. And today, we got some of that old.
Old, yes. So, I don't know if you guys have realized, but we usually release an episode a day. So we are actually over 5 years old now.
A week, you mean?
Yes, a week. We're not at the day. Yeah. So 262 episodes. That is a lot. I was not a math major, but that's over 5 years. So we are drinking some special tea from the 1940's. It is a Liubao tea, and ordinarily I'd say you should be careful about these claims. I happen to very much trust the source of this tea. And it comes from Sue. So thank you very much to Sue, her family, and she has collected tea for a number of years. So, sending a small little bit from her personal collection. Much gratitude.
Thank you, Sue.
And
5 grams of awesome.
Yeah, 5 grams of awesome. And my friend Peter, he had the same tea, and he said, you know what, I'm going to give you a couple extra grams so you could have a full session. So we have 7 grams of leaf here. Woo! Thanks to those guys.
To both of them.
And we're drinking this without a rinse. No, I actually rinsed this tea already, just so we can get to more of the infusions of this guy.
Color. Oh my god.
So it's a dark color.
Literally, this tea is something like 78 years old.
Yeah.
That's insane, first off.
Yep, from the 1940's.
Life goals.
I do believe it is one
I hope to make it to 78 and then someone will drink me.
Yeah. I
don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I also don't know if that's like a great idea for most things.
Yeah. This Snickers bar is 900 years old.
Yeah. Created by Sean Snickers, the original.
It's got such a powerful, potent smell. Wet, but the dry leaf smelled like absolutely nothing. I couldn't detect a single smell on it at all. The wet smell is very much like a little bit of that sort of pencil shaving graphite, a little bit of the tomato vine sort of minerally garden thing, and then a little bit of cherry sweetness. And, oh Lord,
yeah,
oh God, God.
Leak in here. It's okay.
Holy
as
smokes.
We're pouring mainly down, so it's mainly ending up in the
mainly,
right place.
As long as you're not just getting burnt to death. That's the main thing.
Okay. I got the mom hands.
Okay,
so.
there you go.
Yeah.
And the color is just absolutely stunning on this.
But let's drink this.
And the only other thing we'll say before we do this is that we are, per the request of Sue, using some specialized water for this.
Yes.
So, James, you want to speak a little bit to that?
Right. So we got this from Whole Foods, and I guess the important thing with this is that if you look at the side, it says TDS. That stands for Total Dissolved Solids. So for old tea, Sue highly recommends using low TDS water. This has TDS of 79, and I think that's kind of... It's not exactly, but it's kind of similar to the mineral content of the water. So this is the tea that most closely fit the parameters that she laid out.
Cool.
So it's what I picked up.
Cool.
So not something I would do for most teas, but if she is nice enough to provide a tea like this, I will gladly buy some water.
Exactly. I mean, two ingredients in this deliciousness, and one of them is water. So when we're drinking... something like this on a special occasion, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's go for it.
Yeah, so steep number 1.
Cheers.
It's so smooth.
Wow.
The texture of it is also very... it's almost like super fine silk.
It's really clean. Surprisingly enough, I feel like it tastes like it has a very. It has a very clean taste throughout. It's woody. It's a little bit. It has very much of that sort of garden mineral vibe going on. Clean.
Definitely a tea you should slow down. I was ready to go very fast, and now I'm looking at Denny, and I'm realizing the proper speed to approach these things. Yeah.
It has a really strong, lasting flavor. This is so interesting. So these teas, these old raws that we've had on the show, they really do begin to blend in a little bit to that sort of ripe flavor category.
This is actually a Liubao, so it was fermented first.
Oh.
The processing is a little bit different. But yeah. Huh. So it is, the processing of it's changed, so I don't totally know. But certainly at this point, it tastes like that. Anyways.
Yeah. Well, no. And so it sort of straddles. It's interesting. There's a point at which these teas become something different and really resemble a lot of these sort of flavors. Really, so that sort of vegetal, tomato vine, herb garden vibe, and sort of a little bit of that kind of like pencil shavings, woodiness, really comes in strong with a lot of these teas. I think this one is like wonderfully delicate and balanced. It's smooth. It's rich. It's not super velvety. It's not quite as viscous as our previous episode's ripe that we had on.
No, it's not.
But I think it's just as potent, if not more, and is more flavorful.
There's a lot of subtlety to it, and the flavor doesn't like overwhelm you in your mouth. And I feel like I don't know. There's a lot of depth and elegance to this tea. We're still just one infusion in. So.
I know. I'm sitting here continuing to taste it.
Right.
And it's really still having that graphite. Mineraliness. It's a little bit sweet, but it's not lacking that sweet flavor. Yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
And one thing I'm going to be watching out for is we talk about this a lot with Rapport, but just sort of how the tea sort of affects the body, like if we're tasting it all the way down here. So sort of the chachi of the tea. All right. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Actually, we're drinking this one slightly cooler just because we waited a little longer. Yeah. To me, it brings out more of like that tomato vine earthiness to the taste.
I'm really getting that a lot. A little bit of the tomato acidity as well. And leaving maybe a hint of some sort of darker flavors, maybe like a little bit of a tree bark molasses, leathery kind of finish to it. These are one of those teas that you don't. I'm like, it's just good. I don't know. It's good. It's unique. It's surprisingly resembles a typical tea that we've had on the show, given how old it is. I mean, you'd think that at a certain point these teas would just like become something gross and different.
Yeah.
And this tastes just like another delicious. I mean, not another. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's.
But it tastes like tea.
Insanely clean too.
That's
as Denny noted earlier.
Yeah.
And you know what? For these infusions, I've been recommended to sort of push this tea with a heavy hand. I kept it pretty short for those first two.
Yeah.
But we're gonna go a little bit harder.
Definitely.
These sorts of teas, you don't need to worry about it getting astringent or anything like that. So. These next couple, I'm going to lean on the tea a little bit more.
Cool. Sounds great. I think one of the notable things about this tea is really how lively it is after you finish drinking it.
Right.
I'm sitting here, and it could be partially that I'm sort of like primed for it, respecting that this is older than my parents and 3 times older than I am almost, or something like that. So I'm obviously showing up, being a little bit more attentive to the session. Nevertheless, it just does continue to have a very strong, delicate, soft residual flavor.
And for me, I'm starting to feel the tea sort of in my body. This tea is so soft, so smooth, so easy to drink. and definitely one to sort of savor. So it feels very relaxing. It's something very comfortable about drinking a tea like this.
Yeah, it's very, it's like hearty, and it's like a freaking big wool blanket on a cold winter day kind of a thing. It's not crisp. It's not particularly light. It's bringing a lot of presence and really good. I'm sure that people who listen to me say all that stuff are just like, what in the fuck are you talking about? It's not like a warm blanket or something, but it's, I don't know. It's one of the best parts about drinking tea is that it really brings out a lot of these different memories and just.
And thinking about like just the tea and the historical context too, it's just such a long time ago, like 1940s, and I don't know, China during that time, like World War II and the Civil War. I mean,
that's crazy,
insane. So
this has a little bit. So I'm getting a little bit more of a cherry fruit smell, and I'm not tasting it quite as much in the cup. The liqueur on this now has become a really rich, dark tree bark.
I totally agree about the cherry.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
It's not. I'm not.
Really rich and sort of on the creamy end of things too.
Totally, yeah. I'm not tasting it quite as much. James is going to go ahead and, with the water still hot, hit this again, and we're just going to hang out on these teas. You can see the oils hanging out.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that. It's beautiful. This is really lovely. Thanks, dudes. Thanks for everyone who's watching. Thank you so much for supporting the channel and all the stuff that we've done, that James has done, that other folks on the show have done as well. Because I'm just saying that it's a treat for us to be able to do this. I don't think James and I ever expected to be drinking something like ancient and old and delicious like this on the show when we first started it. It's been fun.
People can be amazingly generous. Just to share these things with us. This is something that if it was available for a retail price, something that I would never think about even buying. So it's only through people's generosity that we're even able to try this. So we'll try our best to share it with you guys and describe it. I don't know. It's such a unique experience. It's a real privilege.
Exactly. Yeah. And James was just brewing that for quite a bit of time. So
yes. So it'll be really interesting to see how these next two infusions go.
Exactly.
I brewed them for a while.
Yeah.
Put it kindly. I think with precious teas, it might be tempting to sort of hoard them and use like a really small amount. But in my experience and my belief is in general just better to do it heavy, do it strong, get the full essence of the tea rather than holding back.
Good advice. Yeah, absolutely. And this tea continues to just perform, even just hanging out for a couple minutes, chatting about it. But let's dive into the third steeping.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
It's the thickest brew, for sure. It's almost like a syrup-like texture for this one. It's sort of like halfway in that sort of really fine silk and a little bit more thick and syrupy is how I'd characterize this brew.
Yeah. Oh, God, this is so good. It's interesting, because so this really brings about a different palette of flavors than most teas that we get to try on the show. And it's a treat in that regard. It's funny. It's almost like an association. I don't think these flavors would probably pass the mom test. This isn't really a mom test kind of a tea. Let's be real. Really. I don't know if you care about your mom enough to even give her this tea. Let's be honest.
Yeah. We're filming this very close to Mother's Day. Thankfully, it won't air till afterwards.
It's okay. So brewed much more strongly. What's the difference? I say potency, but I'd say potency, texture, juiciness.
And how would you characterize the potency in this case?
It's still not the most potent tea. It's not too overwhelming. I mean, that's one thing that's really good about this tea, I'd say. is that for how hard you just brewed it on the third steeping,
Yeah.
It performed beautifully.
Yeah.
So I think it can really take as James put it, a heavy hand. It's just really juicy still. I'm feeling good energy on it. It's not one of those teas that for me is like a complete all body tea. It's more like just kind of like for me chest up.
Yeah.
But good energy, and yeah, it's just a delight to drink.
Yeah. Stuff like this I could see being very addictive if you had if you had more than 5 grams of it to drink. It's just so smooth, so easy to drink, and it feels so great.
Yeah.
So it's a very warming tea for me too.
Yeah, and really it still continues to just be juicy and salivating, and I'm excited to drink this next one, shall we?
Let's do it.
Cheers.
It's amazing the complexity of this tea that it's maintained for so long. Each steep has been a little bit different from one another. This one almost has like a really refreshing mouthfeel to it. I'm not sure exactly how to characterize it.
Yeah.
It's not exactly menthol or anything like that, but something kind of, I don't know, in like the very aged vein of that sort of flavor.
Yeah, it has a little hint of some medicinal vibes. I think this has a little bit of a charcoal-y thing going on in it now. It's not that it's not bitter because of it. It's just sort of like a more minerally, not sweet, but just kind of minerally taste to it. I've been sort of like meandering around the sweetness of this tea. Hard to explain. I don't really know how you would. I mean, how is it that your garden tastes sweet, but it does?
Yeah.
I mean, this is similar.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the world that we live in, where like sweet, I feel like sweet in today's world means a very different thing than it probably meant like 200 years ago with our sugar and stuff like that. So this is sweet, but in a very natural sort of way.
The steeping has a little bit of high notes of floral.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really so this tea is evolving, I think. Yeah, really good. This is a treat. And I can't, to be completely honest with you guys, I can't tell about this.
We'd have to do it properly. We need to do it
side by
side. We have not that much of this tea, so we're just going to do it the way they recommend.
I will say that regardless of whether or not it's making an impact, it certainly is a delicious combination. I don't know. I don't know if it affects the texture of the mouthfeel or anything like that. But I do think that one of the best parts of this tea is the mouthfeel of it. Excuse me?
Yep. And we're going to keep leaning on this. I think it's performing very well on those strong steeps. A tea like this, brewed in the way that we're doing, we don't expect it to go as long as the equivalent pour. So we'll probably only get under 10 steeps of this for sure. But we're going to enjoy the hell out of those steeps.
And with something so prized like this, throw it in a nuclear reactor's amount of hot water, and then
boil it.
Yeah, and then let it hang out overnight if you want, to get some more longevity out of it potentially.
Yeah, get everything you can out of this sort of tea.
But at the same time, like James said, it's meant to. There's no point in brewing this at half strength. You want to really experience this tea in full and enjoy it, and so. This is a real treat.
And that's why we're sitting here for a minute waiting for this brew to go.
Yeah, exactly.
And make sure you are definitely using boiling water. This is not the tea to slack on that at all. Okay. So it even looks like the tea might be nutting up just a little bit. Well, we'll see. It's getting darker now.
Yeah. Really just continuing to sit and taste this tea. I think it's one of my favorite parts about this, in particular, is that some teas that you can sit and continue to taste because it's like so aggressive and hard to ignore. This tea is subtle, it's light, there are crisp high notes, there are mellow, earthy, low notes. There's a lot going on in this tea, but throughout it's well balanced, and then just sitting here chatting about it, I continue to enjoy and experience it. Oh, Yeah. Really good. Really juicy.
Yeah.
I'm getting back in here. I'm not waiting for you.
Full taste. All right, yeah. We'll drink this hot. Yeah. Cheers, guys.
Pretty delicious.
Right. I think the tea is going. The high notes for me have gone away a little bit. It's more in that earthy tomato vine vein right now. The taste is, but it's still I don't know, so smooth. So like the mouthfeel, I think, continued to be really interesting, steep to steep.
Yeah. It's just good as fuck. That's all I'm gonna say. It's like it just balance is the one word that I would use to describe this tea. You're not gonna taste every single different flavor in the whole entire flavor universe in this one cup of tea. It's got its own profile and sort of configuration, but within as that configuration, this is so perfectly balanced. It's balanced in the juiciness and the longevity of it, the mouthfeel of it, the high and the lows. I think it's even balanced throughout the steepings that we've had too. Going from not being too all over the place that it's just like, what the hell is going on? I'm drinking 3 different teas at the same time as the cake unravels, but really just delicious throughout. Definitely, this is pretty bomb, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So part of me thinks like, okay, if I was blind drinking this, would I know this is like some, good stuff? And I think that just from the smoothness, longevity of the flavor, and the texture alone, it'd be pretty obvious to tell this is like good.
I mean, an interesting thought experiment is just for this versus like the ripe pour we had in the previous episode, which is fine. It's a ripe pour. It's much younger than this tea, to put it lightly. But it's a fermented tea as well, and I don't know. Could you tell the difference? You probably could. But I don't know. I think the proper context to appreciate something like this is not in the blind test. It's in sort of just sitting down with a good tea friend, using high quality water if you think that makes a difference, and just burn the hell out of the tea and see what it gives.
I think using high quality water makes the difference insofar as even the placebo matters, and anything you can do to bring more attention to your session, something that is a little bit more prized and special like this, I think is probably a good thing. It's going to enhance your experience. So it's good to treat something that has been taken so much care of with respect and to brew it along those parameters. And
I think this 6th brew is probably going to be our final brew for the episode.
On camera.
But you can
keep drinking this.
Pretty much be guaranteed that we'll brew the hell out of it.
Man, it's so good. I'm getting more into those sort of like earthy rock, charcoal mineral vibes now. It's lost a little bit of that sort of floral sweetness, and even a little bit of the acidity, and getting into something a little bit more earthy. Look at that colors too, man. I mean, I don't know if people are able to see quite.
Are you the white balance?
Yeah, exactly. Not quite. It's not working out, huh? Man, we're spoiled.
Yeah, and to store a tea like this so cleanly for such a long time in, Malaysia, a place that's not exactly known to be really dry.
Right.
So, really, really well kept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just continue to sit here enjoying different notes that come up.
Right.
Yeah. Really good. Maybe a little bit of a cacao vibe.
I could get that, yeah.
Cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
I'd say that it's lightened up 70%.
Yeah.
It's like the mouthfeel is, we're losing it now. There's still plenty of texture going on though. It's almost like there's this residual film of the tea on my tongue and the roof of my mouth, I can kind of like touch it in some sense. It's like this sort of like just this like layer of delicious
Flavoring.
tea oil vibes.
Coating, yeah.
Yeah.
Coating the mouth, coating the throat. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice. And it's just almost just almost a little bit mouth puckering. God, it's now getting a little bit more almost like just kind of almost really, really roasted black tea, cacao, roasted sort of flavors going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's never bitter, never astringent. Would you say this tea has been creamy at all in any of the infusions?
I think the first couple more so than these.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think that part has died down a little bit. This is so good. It's kind of almost evolving into really roasted oolong kind of flavors.
Yeah, with all the minerals and
exactly.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna keep drinking this. Hopefully you guys are jealous AF.
That was really the goal. This tea pot actually, there's nothing in it. It's
it's all part of your imagination.
It's disappeared.
Oh my gosh, so good.
So huge thank you to Sue and as well as to Peter for providing this tea. Really,
real treat. Seriously.
To drink. Yeah.
James, thanks for doing TeaDB with me for so long.
Yeah, 5 years.
Yeah, dude, this has been awesome.
And believe it or not, Denny and I have known each other much longer than that.
Disturbingly long.
Yeah, disturbingly long. So,
yum. Well, subscribe to all the stuff, whatever, blah blah. You know all the crap.
You cannot buy this tea online. Sorry, guys.
Sorry. So bomb. We'll see you guys next time for a tea that's probably a little bit younger.
Yeah.
All right.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.